Hello and welcome. I'm Donna from Roots and Rain Yarns, and if you're joining me today for the first time, then welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, then welcome back, and thank you very much for joining me here today, for making the jump with me from Instagram over here to YouTube, where I can chat a little longer, where I have a little more freedom to chat with you and spend a little more time. So welcome. Today is the third part of a little three-part mini-series, a little three-part set of videos that I'm doing just to sort of let you know what's new in the dye pots for spring 2021. Talk to you a little bit about my Etsy shop update, which is this Sunday, May 9th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, to chat to you a little bit about what I'm up to, what I'm knitting, a few things that I'm enjoying, and just sort of Roots and Rain life in general. I hope that you are all keeping well, and thank you for joining me today. So today the first thing I'm going to start with is something I completely forgot the last time, and of course as soon as I finished chatting I remembered it almost immediately when I turned the camera off. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you today about is what I'm wearing. And what I'm wearing today, and I think I'll stand up to give you, and hopefully to turn around. And hopefully that worked and give you a little view. Today I am wearing my Peppermelon sweater. This sweater is designed by Thea Coleman, and maybe I'll come in a little closer so that you can see the detail on this sweater. It has a beautiful cable running down both sides, and then a beautiful lace leaf panel in the front and as well on the back. And the neckline of the sweater is really quite lovely. It actually follows the leaf motif or the leaf pattern. So the neckline has a little bit of a scoop down in the front, and as well the bottom also has a little bit of scoop following the leaf pattern. So again, it's the Peppermelon sweater by Thea Coleman, who is also Baby Cocktails. And this yarn is knit in my Homestead yarn. Thea designed this sweater with my Homestead yarn in, I guess it's been a couple of months. Was it maybe March of 2021? It was very exciting for me to be able to work with Thea to get a little bit of, just a little bit of a peek into her work and her designing of patterns, to watch her test knitters, because that was pretty exciting to watch her test knitters all work on this sweater. And it was a great experience just in general, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sweater. I will admit to you that I didn't knit my own sweater. I did start to knit my sweater, and then just life kind of took over and the dye pots took over, and yeah, you know how that is as a knitter. So my lovely friend Emily, who is Stitches and Starlight on Instagram, took over for me. When I say took over, I think maybe I had the collar done and a few rows, and Emily powered through this sweater, and I think knitted in about, I think it was about a week. She really powered through this one. So thank you, Emily, and thank you, Thea. So again, it's the Peppermelon sweater, and the sweater pattern is available on Ravelry. And I believe, I should have checked this first, but I believe also on Thea Coleman's website. So again, Peppermelon sweater, and I will put the name and the details below. So today I'm going to talk to you about one yarn, one dye plant, and just a few, maybe a few other things, but we'll just focus today again, like I've been doing, on one yarn. So the last time I talked to you about my new Mohair Luxe yarn, which is a limited edition yarn for this update, May 2021. But today's yarn is also another very exciting yarn that I have also been working on for quite some time. I've been looking for a yarn like this kind of yarn, this type of yarn for, a long time. And I'm very excited to have finally found what I'm looking for, exactly what I'm looking for. So today's yarn that I'm bringing you, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to reach over and grab it. Today's yarn is Roots and Rain Yarns Sustainable Sock. And I'm gonna bring it in closely so that you can really get a good look at this lovely yarn. So Sustainable Sock is basically what the name says. So it's a true sock yarn, a true fingering weight sock yarn. Unlike my field sock that I talked to you about a couple of videos ago, field sock is a sport weight sock. Sustainable Sock is a true fingering weight sock weight yarn. These are 115 gram skeins, 420 yards, so a standard or traditional sock weight yarn. What makes this yarn sustainable, as the name says, is this yarn is very happily, very proudly made up of 80% certified organic wool and 20% recycled nylon. So it's a pretty exciting yarn for me. I'm very happy to be able to add this to the Roots and Rain family. If you're familiar with my yarns, you may know that I actually don't have a lot of superwashed yarns in the Roots and Rain family. So this is a superwash yarn. But it is also certified by the same organization, the same governing body that certifies the wool, and that's the GOTS. You may see that on some labels, GOTS or GOTS, and what that stands for. And I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I do have a few notes today. I want to make sure I get it exactly right for you. So the GOTS certification is. Okay, we're going to try that again. So today's lesson for Donna of Roots and Rain is going to be editing and how to knock over your tripod and then cut and paste in a new part of the video. If you've been here with me before, you may have noticed I try to film these videos all in one little sitting because I don't know how to cut and paste, but that's going to be today's learning experience. So when you knock over your tripod, you learn how to cut and paste. So if I repeat myself in this next little few moments of the video, now you know why. So bringing me back to Sustainable Sock, and I was telling you about what the GOTS or GOTS certification or stamp. You may see that, or you've probably seen that on other items. And what GOTS or GOTS, GOTS stands for, it is the Global Organic Textile Standards, and it is an organization or governing a body that keeps anything certified to a certain set of standards. I'm not going to go into a lot of that kind of detail. You're probably not here for that today. You're probably here for the yarn, the knitting, the colors, but I will try on my Etsy shop when you go and have a look at this on my Etsy shop. I'll try to put a little more information there. But basically, in a nutshell, what that certification means and what this yarn means is that it is 80% certified organic wool, 20% recycled nylon, and it is a superwashed yarn, but the superwashing process also adheres to those same standards. And basically what that means is that all of the procedures that go into making up this yarn are ethical, sustainable. So when the wool content of this yarn, the animals are treated humanely, ethically. The people, the workers, are treated in a humane, ethical fashion. The superwashing process, unlike some traditional superwashing processes, there are no formaldehydes, there are no heavy metals, there's no pesticides used in the yarn, and it is all a certified process. So, but let's talk about the yarn itself. So this yarn is a plied yarn, or a spun yarn, so it's not a single ply, it is a plied twisted yarn. So the twisted yarn, plied yarn, and the nylon content make it fantastic for socks, strong enough for socks. But that superwashing process and the high wool to nylon ratio, so the 80% wool, 20% nylon, makes it super soft, super squishy, super bouncy, and soft enough to wear next to your skin. So let's talk a little bit about colors. So this particular skein that I'm holding is dyed with logwood. And if you've watched my other videos, if you watched, I believe it was the first video, the field sock video, where I talked about logwood. So again, I'm not going to talk about every dye today. I will just focus maybe closer to the end on one dye plant. So this is logwood. Logwood makes a beautiful purple, and you can see this skein has a lot of kettling to it. And I will mention the batch numbers because I had a few people comment that they really like that I talked about the batch numbers, so that when you're looking on Etsy in the shop update, you can find exactly what you're looking for. So this is logwood batch 201. And I have a little project knit with logwood. So my lovely friend Sherilyn, and I'm really fortunate to have a group of fantastic knitters who volunteer to knit for me, knit samples for me, test out new yarns. So thank you all if you're watching. So this next shawl is the Plover shawl. And it's designed by Amy Christoffers. And if you've joined me here before for other videos, you know that I really like Amy's patterns. I really like her, her style, her aesthetic. So this is the Plover shawl. And I'm going to hold it up back here so that you can really maybe get a sense of the size of this shawl. And this shawl was knit with one skein only. And I believe Sherilyn told me she had a little bit left. So this is one skein of sustainable sock. And it's the Plover shawl, and this is also knit in logwood. And I'm going to bring it in here so that you can have a good look at that. It's a beautiful lace pattern. I like a one skein shawl. I'm not very tall, and I find often for me personally, bigger shawls sometimes tend to start wearing me. So one skein shawl is great for this time of the year. It's great for spring. It's also great, I find it great for under a winter coat or under a coat. So that's the Plover shawl, and it's a great asymmetrical pattern. The Plover shawl by Amy Christoffers of Savory Knitting. And again, I'll link that information below. And this shawl was knit with the logwood as well. The next color I have sitting here is always a very popular Roots and Rain colorway, and one that I actually don't dye a lot of. And there's a few reasons for that. I do, so it's dyed with avocado, and I'm going to see if I can get the color to pick up properly here. I do actually have several people who save me their avocado pits and skins. one of the things I like to use in my avocado, and that's maybe that's a discussion for another day, is avocado dyeing. But one of the things I like to use sometimes in my avocado is household ammonia. Sometimes. Sometimes if you're out there and you're playing with avocado dyes, sometimes the avocado dye or the avocado bath tends to get a little bit brown. Like your avocados turn brown if you leave them exposed to the air. And sometimes just a tiny bit of household ammonia will help to bring that, to turn the avocado from a brown. And I'm moving it around here trying to get the color for you. It's a lovely peachy shade, but the light doesn't want to pick it up very well today. So sometimes a little bit of household ammonia helps the avocado. It just changes the pH level a little bit and helps to make it a little more pink and take away a little bit of the brown. But in this crazy time that we're all living in, and we're, you're probably experiencing certain things that you can't get or used to get, or maybe prices have changed on things that you used to get. I, here where I am finding very difficult to find household ammonia. There are cleaners with ammonia in it, bathroom cleaners and things. That is not what I'm looking for. Regular, plain old household ammonia is one of those things that's been a little bit of a challenge for me to get. So I haven't been dyeing a lot of avocado dye, but this avocado turned out just beautifully on its own without any help from any ammonia. And I'm sorry, it's not picking up the color terribly well, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So the next one I'm going to show you, I think I maybe showed this color in the field sock, because I do tend to like this combination and dye with it often enough, and that is henna and madder. And it's just your regular henna that you would use for, henna in your hair, Mendi type henna. So henna and madder, and it gives you this lovely, I would say it's sort of a terracotta shade, maybe on the lighter end of a terracotta shade. So that's henna and madder, batch 205, and I don't think I told you the batch on the avocado, and the batch on the avocado is 203 if you're looking for that one. And I thought maybe the henna would help the avocado with the light, but it's not helping. So the next one I'm going to share with you is chestnut and lac, and this one really is, I would say, a true terracotta color. Chestnut comes from chestnuts and from a chestnut tree, and lac, and again, maybe that's one I'll pick for another day to go into in a little more detail, but lac is like shellac, like used on furniture, and lac is an insect. However, it's not the insect itself that's used in shellac, in lac, in the dye. The lac insect lives on a tree. When it lives its life cycle and it moves on, it leaves behind a resin on the tree, and then that resin is scraped off and dried and ground and then used for the dye. So this one is chestnut and lac, batch 204, and that's a beautiful, really lovely kettled terracotta, maybe leaning towards pink, terracotta pink color. And the next one, I'm struggling with the avocado in the light, so I'm not sure if this one's going to pick up, but the next one is, nope, that's not going to work at all, is it? The next one is Osage, and it's a beautiful buttery, maybe even lemony yellow, and that's not picking up at all, so I'm going to stop showing you that one. But that's Osage batch 206 if you're looking for a lovely yellow. And nope, the light is not going to agree with me at all today. And I tried to film today a little bit later than I've been doing, hoping to get a little maybe less direct sunlight and a more natural daylight, but that's not helping me at all. So the next thing I'm going to move on to then, I think I will show you what I'm working on with my sustainable sock. And I have mine in this beautiful project bag that my daughter Jess of Homebody Knits made for me. And I am knitting the Sixpence sock by Olivia of This Handmade Life, and it's part of her Miss Marple sock series, and it's the Sixpence sock. Really nice texture. It's so fun, this one. And I'm knitting mine in a marigold colorway. So dyed with marigold. And that's the Sixpence sock. And again, I'll link that below. The Sixpence sock by Olivia of Handmade Life. And I'm really liking this, this sock pattern. It took me a couple of rows to kind of memorize it, but as soon as I, after the first few rows, it's definitely TV knitting. And so soft, so beautiful. So that is marigold. I have talked to you a little bit before in the past about how I will sometimes transform my yellows. So marigold on its own gives me a yellow. But when I add a little bit of iron to that, oh, look at that, it's picking up. See, the sunlight likes the green today. Marigold and iron. So this is marigold and iron, batch 208. And you can see that yarn has a lot of kettling and a lot of different variation in the yarn, and that is a beautiful, that to me is a beautiful true spring green. That's a lovely one. I may have kept one of these for myself. So marigold and iron, batch 208. And I had another couple of skeins that I dyed with marigold and iron that I was just kind of playing around with and testing out. And if you're, again, familiar with me here, you may know that my daughter is Jess of Homebody Knits. And so I asked Homebody Knits, because if you've been following me here for a little while, you may have seen that I have been having a lot of fun and playing with the sock tubes that Homebody Knits makes. So I gave a skein of my marigold and iron to Jess and Allie and asked them to crank it for me. And a few things are going to fall on the floor. I have here a skein of, look at this, a skein of marigold and iron sustainable sock cranked up into a tube for me, so that all I have to do now is take this little piece and add my heels and my cuffs and my toes. And actually, I was just watching someone today on YouTube, and they actually don't do a ribbed cuff. They leave their little rolled cuff off the tube. So that's another thing if you're interested in. What this person was telling me on YouTube is that they find the ribbed cuff often too tight for their leg size, so they leave it as a rolled cuff. But this is 115 gram skein, and I got Jess and Allie to leave me off, I think this is about 40 grams for the heel and toe. And so this is what I get, or what they crank me, out of about 60 grams. So you really get a huge sock tube out of one skein. If you're following me or familiar with Instagram, you may have seen I've been knitting a few of these this year, these sock tubes, and many of them I get 2 pairs. Sometimes I'll get what I like is about a 6-inch leg on my sock. I'll get a pair of sort of standard socks with a 6-inch leg, and then I will also get a pair of gift socks a little ankle sock. So it depends if you decide to do your heel and toe with the same yarn or with a contrasting yarn, because if you do a contrasting yarn and you get a whole 100 gram skein or 115 gram skein cranked from them, you get a long tube out of, so this is again about 60 grams. And then they left me this little tube or this little ball to make my heel and toe. And what I love about Homebody Knits, and I'm just gonna show you their card, is every time they crank a tube for you, they give you a new stitch marker or a new progress keeper. So that's Homebody Knits. And I believe, again, I probably should have checked, but Homebody Knits is also having an Etsy shop update this Sunday, May 9th, and that's why I said I think it's 11 o'clock. I think it's 11 a.m., the same as mine. That was totally coincidental. But I also got them while I was at it to crank me some more tubes because, yeah, you know, I'm a sock knitter. I love knitting socks, but having somebody crank me a tube and then all I have to do is the heels, toes, and cuffs. Yeah, they're great for me, but they make great gifts. I have several. If you're on my Christmas list, you may be getting a pair of socks this year, which you've never got before, because all the leg work, it's all done for you. So I did get them to crank me some other tubes, and you'll notice I ask them, and I'm gonna just put this out there for them. I ask them for me to leave me a little bit of a waste yarn of a different color in there. I like my tubes done that way, and then they just they cranked this all as one tube. So this also is my latest acquisition from Homebody. This is a part skein. It's not even a whole skein. It's a part skein of Hedgehog Fibers, because Donna from Roots and Rain doesn't just knit Roots and Rain. I like all kinds of yarn. This is another old stash yarn that I had, and it's another small dyer. I don't think she's dyeing anymore, but this is about, again, I think it's about 60 grams, this one. It's not the whole 100 gram skein. And this one, I can tell you, is the Knitting Goddess. The Knitting Goddess. And again, I probably should have checked. This is old stash for me. This is from the Yarndale Festival, from the first year the Yarndale Festival happened. And this is 50 grams, so I can tell you that for sure, because the Knitting Goddess came in 2 sets. It was 2 half skeins, 50 grams each. So this is 50 grams, and I'm going to hold it up to me so that you can, that is a 50 gram sock tube, and that is absolutely going to give me a pair of socks. So if you're looking for a really quick gift, Homebody Knits fantastic sock tubes. They have, they sell sock tube kits that you just have to add the heels and toes yourself. They also have a cranking service, which is what I got this time. I used some of my own yarn, and they just cranked it for me. And they are also having a shop update this weekend. So if you decide to pop over and have a look at their shop, tell Jess and Allie that Donna from Roots and Rain Yarns sent you. So I think we'll just jump right from there into the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about today, and that is the actual dye. So I talked to you a little bit about the marigold in my socks, which gives me this beautiful yellow color. And I talked to you a little bit about the Homebody sock tube, which is marigold and iron. That one, which gives me this beautiful green color. And then I talked to you about another batch, or a different batch, of marigold and iron, which is also a green. And maybe what I'll do is I'll actually hold them all up together for you so that you can see the difference in color. So again, plain marigold, marigold and iron, and just a different shade, marigold and iron, maybe a little less marigold, a little more iron. So marigold is what we're going to talk about today as a dye plant. So marigolds grow really well here in Ontario, Canada. They are an annual plant, so they have to be planted every year, but they grow like crazy. They're easy to grow. They're great for kids to grow too if you're introducing kids to gardening. They're beautiful, different shades of yellow, orange, leaning into the reds. They have beautiful heads at the end of the season that you can really easily deadhead and pull off and dry and collect the seeds for the next season. I collect marigold seed heads every year. They're a great dye plant. I don't have marigold, unfortunately, today to show you. I went into my freezer to look at the last year's marigolds, which I do have some left. I thought the last time I talked to you, I thought I had used up all the marigolds, but I did find another bag of marigolds in my seemingly bottomless pit of a freezer. But they're really squishy and mushy and wouldn't do very well here to show you. So what I did bring you is I brought you the Annuals of Ontario book and just a picture of marigolds to show you. So you've probably seen these guys around. So this is a yellow marigold and then a larger orange shade of marigold. Super easy to grow. Super prolific. They keep going all season. They go here where I am, they go right into the fall and they make a beautiful fall plant. They are a great companion plant. So a lot of animals and pests, garden pests, don't like the smell of marigolds. They have quite a strong scent. And I actually remember when I was young, my parents always had huge, massive vegetable gardens. And I remember learning quite young, my parents would plant marigolds all around the perimeter of the vegetable gardens because it helped to deter groundhogs. Now, I don't know how well it actually deterred the groundhogs, but that was the theory, and groundhogs definitely don't like the smell of marigolds. So as I said, I didn't have any marigolds to bring you today, but I brought you a picture of marigolds, and I also brought you the marigolds that will be next year's dye plants. So I am also growing some marigolds this year. So the first marigold that I have here is going to be similar to the first marigold I showed you, a French marigold, a yellow French marigold. And these guys, they'll go out, I'll start to bring them out, actually this weekend I'll start to bring them out for a little trip outside into the daylight, into the sunshine, out of the window. Right now they're growing in the house, in the window. But I'll start bringing them out and start hardening them off like I talked to you about last time. And then the other one that I brought to show you is coincidentally, and that really was a coincidence, an orange marigold called a Crackerjack marigold. And you can see just the size of the two different marigolds. Crackerjack marigolds will grow, they'll probably grow 18 inches, maybe even a little more. And then the French marigolds will stay quite a bit shorter, maybe 8 to 12 inches. Both awesome dye plants, both a great addition to the garden. If you're here in Ontario, I'm not going to talk about all the gardening climates and conditions that you might be in, but if you're here in Ontario, central, southern, eastern Ontario, maybe not in the northern climates. I'm not that familiar with your growing conditions, but it's not too late. You can still get marigold seeds and plant them directly in your garden, and they'll grow for you. You can buy marigolds, seedlings like that already started at the garden center. And then, like I said, the great thing about marigolds is that you can collect those and save the seed heads for next year. And the other little marigold that I brought you to show you, I think is a Cracker Jack marigold. It is a Cracker Jack marigold. And this one I thought was kind of funny because somehow in this little pot of marigolds, I ended up with a rogue tomato plant in there. So I don't know how he managed to get in there, but now I have to leave it. I absolutely have to leave it in there, and I have to just leave it with the marigolds, put it in the garden, in the corner of the garden where the marigolds are going, and see if the tomato makes it. Here where I am in my garden, we have a yearly battle with black squirrels, red squirrels, groundhogs, and raccoons that we fight for our tomatoes. So here where I am, I have my tomatoes in a fenced off area. Actually, it's Mr. Roots and Rain who's in charge of growing the tomatoes, and they're in a completely fenced off area away from all of those critters. So that tomato plant's going to end up in the flower side of the garden. So we'll see how it fares up. I'll let you know how it fares up. But I think that's it for today. I think I have chatted to you long enough, so thank you once again for joining me. If you've stayed through the whole thing, thank you for bearing with me while where I knocked over my tripod, and hopefully it all went smoothly and it all works out. Again, my next shop update is this Sunday, May 9th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you will find all the yarns that I talked about today and all the yarns that I talked about in this series in that shop update. So again, I really want to thank you for joining me here on YouTube, for making the jump with me. I know it's not always that comfortable when you're used to seeing one platform or one spot that you're comfortable with, and you know, it's a little bit of a leap of faith to watch that little clip on Instagram and then instead go and click on the YouTube link and follow me here. So thank you very much if you followed me. Thank you for staying. It is Friday. And so happy Friday. I hope you have a lovely weekend planned. It's Mother's Day weekend here in Canada. Our farmers markets will open up again. We are in lockdown here. As I mentioned last time, we're in lockdown and only our essential services are open right now. But our farmers markets do open up. So maybe you'll be able to get out, enjoy a little bit of sunshine or fresh air, or maybe some things are starting to open up for spring or starting to open a little bit where you are. I hope you take care and take care of yourself and spend a little bit of time doing something that you like. Maybe knit, maybe drink a lovely cup of tea. Maybe you'll get a chance to work outside in your own garden or do something you like. So thank you for joining me. Take care, be well, and I will chat with you again soon.